Sales Made Simple is what it's all about. Tom Birchall is my name, 7-digit business builder and entrepreneur, and I love helping growth-oriented, heart-centered business owners and entrepreneurs learn how to master business so that you can build the business of your dreams and begin to live life on your terms. What we're talking about here is form. How do you get to know, like, and trust people? And there's this acronym FORM that I learned years ago in sales training, and it stands for family, occupation, recreation, and then message. So when you're out networking, and maybe it's a seasonal thing where you are in the holidays, and at Christmas time there's a lot of connecting and Christmas parties that you go to, or maybe it's during summer and you're on holidays, summer holidays, and you're connecting with folks as you're out on a vacation. Or maybe it is at a church group. Maybe it's at the bank. You're waiting in line at the bank. Maybe it's at a grocery store waiting in a line. So all these places where we connect with people, how do you get to know, like, and trust each other? Well, here's this framework. It's form. Have form. So the word itself gives some context and structure to you and your person of having some form, of being professional. And then follow the steps through. FORM. So family. Ask them about family. Hey, have you got family? Where did you grow up? Because it gives me information on them. So it's very interesting to genuinely get to know each other and share where I grew up or where they grew up. But you also get some context of what that person's psyche is and what's important to them, depending on what country they grew up, or where in the country they grew up, or what city in a particular state or province that they grew up in. I toured in the States with a musical group, and I began to see, we hit 27 states and put on about 80,000 miles on that trip, and saw such cultural differences in different states of how people thought and what they valued and what was important to them. So this is what I'm getting at. When you ask a person where they're from, you'll gather a ton of information. And that's the whole point in the sales process, is getting to know, like, and trust each other. You putting your connective tissue out and you asking them and getting their connective tissue of who they are as a person. So ask them about family, where they were raised, how big their family is, stuff like that. Occupation. Hey, where do you work? When you ask someone about their occupation, always assume it's going great. Just lead with that. I've found, as I've asked this question, sometimes it can dive into a complaining, grump, grump, grump kind of a situation, and you learn about that person from that. But what I have learned to do is just automatically assume it's a positive experience. Hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I do such and such. I'm a manager at a company. And I say this, that must be going great for you. When I lead with that statement, it turns the conversation in a direction of qualifying, and then they have the opportunity to respond. And they'll usually pause and think and then say, yeah, it's great, or, oh, not. But I at least lead with that one thing and just assume it's great and say, that must be going great for you. How long have you worked there? So what do you do? Must be great. How long have you worked? Oh, I've been there forever, 20 years. Oh, new job, just been a few months, whatever it might be. Then affirm again. Oh, it must be going great. And so you're gathering information as you ask these questions. And sometimes what people will often do, when I've been networking like this, just to pass on to you these pro tips about sales, instead of being amateur, let's be pro. What people will want to do is ask you that same question back. And what I tend to do is put the attention all on them. And they might ask me the question, and I'll actually just ignore it and ask them another question. Or, oh, but what about your job is going great? I mean, you've been there for 20 years. What do you love about it? They've just asked me, well, how about you? I won't start talking about me, because then as a salesperson, we have twice as many ears as we do mouths. So ask questions and then zip it and then listen. We want to ask questions and then listen. And when people are talking, they feel comfortable. That's often a lot of feedback that I got with people that were my clients. They say, man, Tom, you just are really comfortable, and I really appreciate you. And you just like listen, and I really appreciate, and I like you. People would say they like me, and it's because I don't talk much. I listen. And that's what I want to encourage with you and remind you of. This is the moment where it really comes to happen, when you're asking these form questions, family, occupation, recreation, and then your message, which is typically to book a meeting and not talk about your sales process and your product and your service. That's what amateurs do. They talk about their product. What we learned in the earlier video, you talk about people, about them. And you ask questions and you listen. So here's where it shows up. You've asked about their occupation. And what they're going to do is ask you back. You resist answering that question because you're a pro. They asked you, hey, how about you? You say another question back to them. Yeah, and ask them a deeper question about their thing and get them talking. And asking about their recreation, where they go for holidays. So let's cover that. That R. R is for our recreation. And if summer's coming up, hey, do you have any plans for vacation this summer? Or if it's just passed seasonally, say, hey, where did you go for holidays this summer? Do you have a spot that you're regular to go to? Was it something new? And just chit-chat about that. Oh, how about you, Tom? Well, hey, I went camping with the kids. That was great, but I've not heard of that place you just said you went to. So again, turn it back to them. Have you been going there long? Was it fun? Do you recommend it? What was the best part about it? Hey, did you have family join you? Where there's a whole bunch of you went or just a few of you? Like, be curious and just genuine and in the moment. And what I find I do is I ask a second and a third question deeper. That's how to be curious with this form. If they say they went to an all-inclusive down in Mexico, oh, great. Which one? Oh, it was, I don't know, they'll name it. Oh, great. Was it a family one or just an adult one? Was it fun? Was it recommended? Just be genuinely curious and kind of follow the lead into stepping into understanding and learning more about them. And when they talk more than you do, because as salespeople, we tend to have the gift of gab and blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't be that gal that talks too much. Ask questions and listen. And the last piece is M, for message. And what I recommend is not having a particular message that you might have, but the purpose of connecting with someone is to set up a meeting. In sales and being pro, you want to set up a meeting. And that's what I input into the message piece. Because you're not trying to sell people there. You can't sell when you meet someone. That's the yucky amateur way. A pro connects people-wise, and then you set up a meeting. And you'll know if you've connected well if they want to get together with you. That's your test. Your litmus test of whether you've connected and worked through the know, like, and trust process with them is if they want to meet with you. It's in the meeting that you'll go and talk about your products and services. Not where you're chit-chatting and just get to know them at a networking event or you're at the grocery store or whatever. You're just connecting as people. And then you ask to get a meeting. That's what the end is. That message piece is, hey, you know what? I'd love to get to, we've just met briefly here and we've chatted briefly. What I'd love to do is get together with a coffee with you and sit down and tell you about some of the things that I work with. One of the projects I'm working on right now. I think you might be interested. Oh, and just the relationship equity and the know, like, trust factor that you've built with your posture and being professional and keeping form. If you do it well, you'll likely earn the privilege of being able to ask to get a meeting. And when you meet with them, then you can go through sales stuff. So the goal is in the M part, your message is simply to set up an M for meeting. That's what I use the M for. So that's what it is. And then when you connect for that meeting, you have the platform and the ability and the expectation that you're going to sit and talk about your sales stuff. So all the things that amateurs try to slip in and slide in when they're meeting with and chatting with someone and getting to know them at a networking event or have just met them at the grocery store or whatever it is, all that stuff, set it aside. Don't do it. Connect people-wise and relationally, and then set up a meeting. And then at the meeting, that's when you have the platform and the expectation of them, of you, to talk through that project that you're working on or that product or that service or whatever it might be and do a bang-up job of your presentation then and there. This part on form was family, occupation, recreation, and then set up a meeting. That wraps things up. Tom Burchell is my name, 7-digit business builder and entrepreneur. I love helping growth-oriented and heart-centered business owners learn how to master business so that you can begin to live life on your terms and build the business of your dreams.